The Titans beat the Seahawks in overtime on Sunday, 33-30. It took Derrick Henry a while to get going. What did you see in studying the film as to the transition from the Seahawks being able to bottle him up to the Seahawks not being able to stop him at all?
Yeah, well, the Seahawks are like all or nothing, a little bit on both sides of the ball, and they force the issue, especially on defense. They love to put a lot of people at the line of scrimmage, maybe scare you out of the run game. They drop back, play zone coverages, some creative blitzes. And, yeah, the Titans had issues with it a little bit as far as the run game was concerned early. I mean, the Seahawks it's Pete Carroll, it's Ken Norton Jr., they're old school. They're one of those, like, you're not going to run on us. And they did a good job stopping the run early. But, they never really stopped the Titans all day long. Yeah, the Titans settled for field goals. You saw Julio Jones catch that ball in the back in the end zone, and the old toe-heel thing came into play where his heel went out of bounds, and they didn't get a touchdown there. The strip sack fumble, which was, just a great play by Alton Robinson, tight end blocking a defensive end on a play-action pass. Look good on the board. Look, our tight end blocked him. Oh, that's right. That's a pass rusher, and this is not a pass blocker. So there was issues like that. But ultimately what got the run game going was, one, Derrick Henry, his first touchdown run, just being an amazing Hall of Fame running back. Like this right here. This is not blocked well. There's nothing good other than he saw the cutback lane and reversed field, and he's one of the fastest there is in the business. But they started to show, as you see on this play here, a little more diversity in the run game. Got away from the outside zone play every time, and then had some design cutback runs. And that's what this was, Mike, right here. Play this, rewind this real quick just one more time so we can kind of show the start of this, if you guys don't mind. This play is made to look like they're going to run to the right side, right, Mike? You'll see Tannehill sticks the ball out, but it's all about coming back to this backside here and hoping to get a one-on-one with your Hall of Fame running back on Trey Flowers, who's a DB and doesn't really want to tackle him and shouldn't be there to have to tackle him. But that was great play design there. Seattle was really overreacting, overplaying to those outside zone schemes, and they kind of found their rhythm of, changing it up a little bit, playing to the aggressiveness of the Seattle Seahawks, and Ryan Tannehill played really well too. The Seahawks let up 532 yards of offense.
Wow.
That's concerning. Like I said, the Titans kind of moved the ball all day long. They just didn't capitalize until the second half.
Yeah, it really is amazing to see a Seahawks defense at home give up that kind of yardage. Encouraging for the Titans to wake it up after an uninspiring Week 1 home loss to the Cardinals. That Julio Jones play you mentioned, by the way,
right?
I have been aware for about a decade that that's the rule. It came up in college over the weekend. Mike Pereira explained it, I think, during the West Virginia Tech game. The idea that you can do the toe tap and fall out of bounds, and you don't have to get your whole foot in, but if your toes hit pointing toward the field and your heels haven't come down, if that heel comes down on the line, you're not in bounds even if you get your toes in. The whole foot has to get in if it's in the process of coming down at the time you catch the ball. And some Titans fans were upset about the call, but it was the right call because thanks to the dark shoe, and maybe if you wear a white shoe, it's not clear and obvious. Thanks to the dark shoe, it's clear and obvious that the heel came down on the white line, so it wasn't a catch, and that's the rule. It doesn't come up very often because it's rare that you've got a guy up on his toes facing inward with his heels coming down behind them. But if the heels don't come in, you're not in.
No, I feel like even watching that game, on Sunday, I feel like I'm not sure Julio Jones understood the rule. It seemed like he was surprised just on the sideline. It doesn't happen often. You're right. It is rare, and I don't think a whole lot of fans know about it. But, hey, the Titans, A.J. Brown dropped a few balls. They get the run game going. Tannehill's still capable of making a lot of big plays throwing the ball. Julio looked good. They got decent tight end play. And they should be excited about their defense, too. Their defense did a lot of good things in the football game. There was a short field touchdown off that strip sack fumble we talked about, and they let up a few big plays. And that's the other thing that I'll say, Mike, that's a little concerning about the Seattle Seahawks offense, too. Like the defense, it's feast or famine. It's like 3 plays, 80 yards, or 3 plays and punt. That's what they are. That's kind of what they've shown to be to this point. And really never sustained a drive all game long other than the 2-minute drive they had right before the half. Everything else was, hey, we'll try to make a, the Titans busted a coverage. There's Freddie Swain wide open down the field. And then a few good game plan design plays to go with it to make some huge plays. But either way, I don't know how sustainable that is either. So I got question marks about Seattle on both sides of the football as we go into week 3.
One of the most exciting games of week 2 that really didn't get the attention it deserved because it was a 4:05 Eastern start in that window that featured Cowboys-Chargers at 4:25. Vikings at the Cardinals, the 34-33 win by Arizona, thanks to Greg Joseph missing not just an extra point but a field goal that would have won the game. What stood out to you when you looked at that film?
Well, the weapons on Arizona, I think that's the first thing you just look at. It's just hard to match up with them. It really is. When you talk about Chase Edmonds, who looks phenomenal, and Rondale Moore, number 2 and number 4 are it's like video game stuff with them. They're breaking ankles, making people miss, so that's really special. And then you got Kyler Murray to go along with it, and he's doing the same damn thing, scrambling there in the background. I think that's what's impressive. I do think we see a little bit of a different offensive attack from Arizona than we saw last year. I think I said this to you last week. There's a little more versatility, more formations that are exciting, and really, for the most part, never were really stopped by your Minnesota Vikings at all during the day either, other than self-inflicted wounds, the pick 6, and then, of course, the interception down the middle where, Kyler Murray got hit in the face and had his face mask pulled, and they didn't call a penalty, which ended up being an interception to Xavier Woods. But, I think that's the thing I look at more than anything. They are explosive. Kyler Murray's throwing the ball really well. I wish they'd be a little bit more patient with the run because you can see just from the stats, they open up holes, and Edmonds and Connors are capable running backs. Edmonds is on the precipice of being to me, it looks like almost a superstar with the way he's looked so far. But I'm excited about them. I really am. But the defense was a little all over the place. And I think that's the thing we got to look at with the Cardinals as we go forward because they were gashed by a few too many big plays throughout the day from that Vikings run game and everything, especially in the first half.
Sometimes you have a game where you should have lost, but you won, and you take it, and you learn from it, and you treat it like money in the bank. These wins in September are money in the bank that will pay off or not if you don't win them come January. But that was a big win for the Cardinals because they should have lost the game. The 37-yard field goal should have been made. That is as close to a chip shot as you're going to have in the NFL. Used to be a 40-yard field goal was impressive, not anymore. Anything from 40 and in, you're expected to make it, and the Vikings continuing a long run of franchise history of missing key kicks. They missed that one to blow the game. The Rondale Moore is exciting. Our buddy PFT commenter pointed out at one point over the weekend that basically it's Kyler Murray throwing to Kyler Murray when Kyler Murray throws to Rondale Moore. They're the same size.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's lightning in a bottle. He was one of those guys coming out in the draft. He's been hurt. He was hurt the last 2 years in college football. But when you watch freshman film, you went, oh, my gosh, this guy's a superstar. So he didn't know really what to expect. Does he got the injury bug? But, man, he's hitting on all cylinders right now. Gets the touchdown we just showed there. Gets the other 75-yard touchdown where Kyler Murray makes a pass rusher miss. And Patrick Peterson, oddly enough, blows the coverage. I mean, he makes a mental mistake and lets Rondale Moore go free up the sideline for a touchdown. He took the cheese and worried about some underneath DeAndre Hopkins route, and that led to that wide open there altogether. I thought the Cardinals, I'll say this, you're right. The Vikings should have won the game. I do think the Cardinals are the better team and should not have been in that position to begin with. They just were – they're creative and really athletic on defense, but, man, do they mess some things up, too, to where, they're not always sound in run fits and in coverage. And you could tell there's a lot of conversation and things going on before the snap. And that's where they got to figure it out. Because in the second half, they played a hair more vanilla, and they were all over that Vikings offense. They couldn't really do a whole lot. It was hard for them to sustain drives. And I think Vance Joseph is very creative. Maybe he goes back to the drawing board and goes, wait, I don't need to invent the defense to just squash an offense every play. Let's just make sure we're in the right spots. I got enough talent this year to where I don't have to always, be the mad scientist and come up with ways to help my defense.
By the way, before we take a quick look at what the Vikings did well or not well, Kyler Murray, 5'10", 207. Rondale Moore, 5'7", 180. So
Kyler's a giant
Kyler,
compared to him.
Kyler is a giant next to Rondell Moore. The Vikings have the Seahawks and the Browns coming up. 0-4 is a real possibility for this team. They looked a lot better this week against a better opponent than the Bengals. Give Vikings fans some cause for hope, and also give them some reason to worry that it could be 0-4.
Well, and the hope would be that, like, you could be easily 2-0. Let's start right there. So it's not like the world has fallen off. And you know, the Kirk Cousins, the offense has shown the ability to make some big plays where they need to, like, what jumped out to me in the second half, Mike, is they ran out of, like, cool game plan design plays. It's like, you know, they emptied out their gun in the first half, and then they were like, oh man, we got no more of those cool plays we ran with Dalvin Cook that kind of exposed them. I don't know why they didn't even go back to a few of them one or two more times, but that was to me where it just jumped out. Like, they need a little bit more on that side of the ball, you know, in case they get in the shootout or in a high-scoring game like we saw the last 2 weeks. I mean, again, they
need to have a little more hay in the barn.
Right.
More hay in the barn. That's what you're saying.
Exactly right.
Yeah. All right. Panthers, Saints.
Ooh.
A surprising outcome after what we saw from New Orleans week 1. I spoke to Hassan Reddick after the game. He made it clear that their plan was to shut down the running game, get after Jameis Winston, move him off of his spot, and force him into mistakes. What did you see on the film?
Well, I saw that. You know, the Carolinas got it all. I mean, Mike, you know, I love the Carolina Panthers. I've been loving them all preseason. But they can play a lot of different ways up front. They got the Jimmies and the Joes to just go, wow, they're talented, they're really good. I mean, when you break down their front seven, it's like top 15 pick, top 10 pick. You know, it's top 10 pick, top 15 pick at linebacker. Oh, the other linebacker was a top 10 pick. Oh, this guy was a top of the second round pick over here. Oh, this corner's a top 10 pick. You know, that safety's top. They got a lot of talent. And then they got a creative scheme to go along with it. They physically whooped the Saints on both sides of the ball. But ultimately, yeah, they weren't afraid to crowd the line of scrimmage. They totally stopped the run game completely. And you could tell they had a good feel for what the Saints wanted to do in the pass game. The Saints never even could get an offense going. They were so thoroughly dominated. I think it was hard for Sean Payton to get it started. You know, sometimes you need a few plays to go, hey, wait, this is what we're doing, and now we got a few plays off of that are going to trick you, and they couldn't ever do that. Jameis Winston couldn't get in a rhythm that way. It was complete domination on that side of the ball for the Carolina Panthers defense.
I had some fun yesterday with the Sean Payton post-game. Here are our excuses. We don't make excuses. Did you hear our excuses? But I think they do have excuse. When your offensive coaching staff is gutted, how in the world do you get a game plan properly constructed, implemented, educated, taught? You know, all the stuff that Sean Payton does where he's looking for ideas and plays and all that mad genius stuff. You don't have time to do it if you're doing the jobs of 5 other people.
No, you're right. It's tough. And then when you play a team that's got, you know, talent and physicality and playmakers at the right position, and now there's a scheme to go along with it, like some creative scheme plays, that's an uphill climb. And that's where Carolina even on the offensive side of the ball, they can line up and smash you with McCaffrey, and then, oh, wait, we can run play action and bootleg off of those same formations, and Dan Arnold is really good at tight end getting out of the backfield, and of course we got DJ Moore out there who can make plays, and then they can just as easily spread the field and go, hey, here we go, we're going to be Drew Brees and the Saints now. Hey, DJ Moore slant, Christian McCaffrey 10 yards over the middle, boom, 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 boom. So they got a little of everything. They have versatility in their approach on both sides of the ball, and when you have that along with a lot of damn good players, that's when you can be a player in the NFC. And I expect Carolina to be in this conversation all year long.
What do we say about the Jameis Winston experiment? It looked like Sean Payton was going to be able to coach the bad Jameis away from him week 1. It collapsed week 2. I mean, basically, it dawned on me watching his 2 interceptions. He thinks he's Patrick Mahomes, and he isn't. So don't try to be. No. Mahomes can make certain throws that others can't. Don't just try to will yourself into being. This is a Mahomes throw, but you're not Mahomes.
No.
See that? You're not Mahomes.
No, you're not Mahomes. You're right.
So what do you say to him if you're Sean Payton when you're watching this film? What do you tell him to do differently than what he did in that spot? Just go down?
Yeah,
or throw it
down.
away or what?
Right. You just got to say go down. Exactly right. Now, this interception, I'm not mad at that. It's late in the game. He's trying to make something happen and give them one last-ditch effort to maybe come back. But that first one, yeah, that's the perfect play of abort mission. Can we go back to that first interception if we can in the control room? Because, too, here's the other thing, and this is where we got to give Carolina credit, and maybe the Saints offensive staff not being fully there hurt them. There's a number of plays in both games so far for the Carolina defense where it's not necessarily they beat guys up front. They expose the protection plan and get people free, like you see here, Mike. They're going to only rush 5, but you don't know which 5 are coming. And the guy up the middle gets free, and that's just a play where you got to go, wait, they won the play, Jameis. They won it. Just live to play another day. We'll punt, whatever. Let's go in at halftime and regroup. So that's where they're going to have to. He's going to continue to have to learn here. But also
that's a Jim Everett. That's a Jim Everett hit the deck play.
Yes.
Don't get dragged down by a defender. Don't throw the ball into the end zone. If you have time to throw it away, throw it away. But if all else fails, take a seat.
Exactly right. I'm sure Sean Payton's going to try to beat that into his brain a little bit. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do anything. It was a tough day altogether. But, yeah, he's got to realize, too, for his own livelihood and everything, when he does those too many plays, that's going to get people chirping again. See, this is why you can't trust him. He's got to understand how to play the politics of the game, too, and realize, it's just not worth it, that play right there. It's not, he was open originally. That's what he saw. But now you've spinned away and ran away. It's 3 seconds later. He's not open anymore. And that's where he's going to have to learn. And the other thing that jumps out to me about the Saints, too, is, hey, they're not opening up the field a whole lot either. So maybe they don't totally trust Jameis yet. First 2 games have been a lot of power run formations, and not necessarily the Drew Brees look we've been expecting in New Orleans. Maybe that offense grows as we go forward.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.